was also the largest Greek university in the country. So the most amount of fraternities and sororities. So NYU to Penn State was a radical shift. And at Penn State, I quickly learned that me and my friends were going to stand out in a crowd, as it were. We didn't quite fit in with everyone else. And over time, I think we ended up, maybe not knowing it, but we ended up using that to our advantage, maybe, I don't know. It was a lot easier to become a big fish in a little seat, even though Penn State was this huge school, because of who we were, it was easier to become sort of notorious. And actually, where is it? Oh, there he is. He hates it when I point him out, but that's Michael Brinchley standing in the back, smiling like he is. And hi Michael. I met Michael when I was 18, my first week at school at Penn State. And here we are, 24 years old, all these years later. No, I'm just kidding. But the thing about Michael was that he was the first person I met who I really felt a creative connection with. And we had a lot of fun and got into a lot of trouble. And kind of it was the start of a sort of a creative community at Penn State. And Michael's better known as Martini, by the way. So you might not recognize Michael out of his drag alter ego, but that is, standing in this room, the most flawed and tragic drag queen in all of San Francisco. She loves autographing, so available after the talk. Martini and I got through Penn State, and in my senior year, we went about making my senior thesis film, which I knew I had to write and direct. But you couldn't write and direct, so I had to co-write it, because the way that the school was structured, you know, one person did cinematography, one would do sound, one would do this, and that you kind of created these little film crews, and that was how you got your credit and you could graduate. So I knew that I had to make something hopefully transgressive and sort of underground, because that's what I loved. And I found this wacky comedian guy who was a film student, and we wrote a movie called Jizz Mopper, a love story. And now, see, you're wondering, what is the educational value of this talk? There is none. It's all garbage. So we wrote Jizz Mopper and pitched it and found the crew for it. And we were like the misfit crew. Everyone at Penn State wanted to be Martin Scorsese. I'm not lying. It was like literally all heterosexual white guys, and they all wanted to be like Martin Scorsese or George Lucas. I mean, that was really dominated the school. So it was me as the director, the really outrageous Jewish comedian Hal as the co-writer and star. He played the Jizz Mopper. The only African-American woman doing our sound. I mean, it was like we were the leftovers from the rest of the film school. And the Christian, the hardcore Christian doing the cinematography. Because no one else wanted him. And we needed a camera person. And we would have crazy talks. The first of which was all of us going to our parents and asking for the $5,000 we needed to put the money together to do this thing on 16 millimeter and make it all happen. And actually having a talk with my mother and father and having to tell them what the title of the movie was, and my father looking at me and saying, "What does that mean?" It's a moment you will never forget, because my mother knew what it meant. The look on her face was even more awkward than the question. But we set about to make the movie, and the administration wasn't a fan. They weren't supportive. I don't think they saw the value in it, so to speak. And the drag queen that we hired to play one of the leads was a real drag queen, which meant she was late every day. And she was, she didn't really understand making a movie, and I don't think she really, it's so sad because I blame so much on her, but she didn't realize that she was costing us money and could possibly, lead to the project being dissolved. And the instructors were looking at me like, okay, well, you don't even have your lead, you know, and you're in the middle of Pennsylvania. Good luck finding another drag queen, you know, it's like that. So what did I do? I stepped in and played the drag queen in Jizz Mopper. Now my partner always says that, you know, I tell this story as though like they were holding a gun to my head. But the truth of the matter is, and I'll come clean here tonight, I probably wanted to do it, believe it or not. I think I was wanting. Maybe I hired a shitty drag queen on purpose. I don't know. It's all, you know, neither here nor there, because I stepped in and I did drag in the middle of Pennsylvania. We drove hours and hours to get to this porno place in Harrisburg where we're shooting through the snow, in makeup, getting death threats, no lie. We made that movie, and it was the hardest movie, I think, that was ever made at Penn State because of what we had to do to get the movie made. And we were so, as other projects were, you know, being dissolved and people were having to be absorbed in other film crews, our footage was looking good. Our scenes were working. The comedy was there. It was coming together. And because of the title and stuff, like the student newspaper was writing stories about it. You know, I was this drag queen director. What was that? They couldn't conceive of that. You know, if I had gone to NYU, I would have been like 20 other people, probably. You know, who knows? It was a big thing, really quick. And we got the movie finished, and it ended up winning the award for, what was it, the Audience Award for Best Film at our Student Film Festival that year. And that was the first taste of just kind of like, we're going to do this no matter what. Like, we're just going to stick to our guts, and we're going to, like, you know, do what we believe in and make it work. And I think that night that movie screened, and this is sort of cheesy and sentimental, but I think it was one of the first nights where my father even really understood me, because he got to see something I made, and he saw an audience of people respond to it. So he could understand it through their response to it. I don't know how to explain it better than that, but it was a really breakthrough moment for us, because he could see that we created something that other people enjoyed. Part of this whole story was also that Michael was the president of the queer student group at Penn State, and I was a big part of the student filmmakers organization. And so to kind of show the administration that you could have a successful career making transgressive art, we put together a grant and brought John Waters to the university and spent a weekend with him. Now, it was very selfish on our part. We were dying to meet him and to hang out with him, and we knew that we could possibly, you know, manipulate a situation to use our resources to kind of do this. But it was a fabulous, amazing weekend, and it was sort of transformative. And during that weekend, John told us all about San Francisco. He loves San Francisco, and even though Baltimore is his home base, he and Mink and Divine would often come here to spend big chunks of time, you know, when they weren't making a movie. And they hooked up with the Cockettes. Most of you know who the Cockettes are. The notorious drag troupe. It's a fabulous documentary, if you haven't seen it, that was made here about the Cockettes. It's great, and it kind of is a part of our history here in San Francisco that I'm super proud of, and I feel like it even becomes sort of a part of. They were a drag troupe who did midnight movie shows over in North Beach at the Palace Theater. And John told us all about them. It was before the documentary had come out, and kind of sowed the seeds for Michael and I to kind of start considering with our friends maybe moving to San Francisco instead of going to New York or LA.